Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriata.
Buckle up, Buttercup. Nesta asking about Cassian.
Yes.
That was easily the most shocking, awesome part of this.
We were listening to this separately, and I got to this part before you at work, and I took a screenshot partway through it, and I was worried that you would skip forward to that just to listen to
Luckily,
that
it took me an hour to see that text.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It was so good. Did you catch the part where she even mouthed off to Mor a little bit?
Yeah. And Mor was oddly intense also in that moment. Everybody's wanting a little piece of Cassian.
It reminded me of the little old Western movies.
Yeah, the way they kind of, it was almost like not even a quick draw, more like a high noon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool, like a duel.
But only one of them won.
You were laughing thinking about chapter 35. Is it because King of Hybern is a children's magician?
No,
Oh.
It's because my first note is about winnowing. I actually want to ask you, what do you think the rules are around winnowing?
There's rules?
Well, how do you think it happens? Like, not the how from one location
When a shadow loves a person very much.
Do you need to be nearby? Do you need to be touching? That type
Oh, for how to winnow somebody? So you're thinking of how the whole army had to be just arm in arm? Because that's how I envisioned it. You know the around the world thing, like the poster of all the little kids around the world?
Yes.
And that is what I envisioned for this army. They were all just like, all right, hold on to the hands of the person beside you. But they had to like do it back and forth like Bear the Monkeys style.
I was picturing that they were all doing a big group hug around Rhysand.
I love that the difference in the way we described the same thing is so funny to me.
But yeah, that was my first note of the chapter. Did they all have to hold hands to winnow an army?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. What if you had like really loose fitting clothing and it wasn't making any contact on your body? And boom, you get winnowed and you don't have that item of clothing.
I think it shows a lot of Rhysand's power too. Do you remember when Feyre did it the first time? She was holding on to Rhysand, and she's talking about walking through like mud essentially. And I think this shows the power of Rhysand to pull an entire army that far.
Feyre also discusses one of the twins. You remember the High Lord niece and nephew?
The creepy twins, yeah.
She talks about how one of them can winnow, but they can only winnow like a couple miles with two people with them.
Yeah.
This dude's winnowing an entire army to another court. I completely agree. I was flabbergasted. I still don't think we have a good gauge for Rhysand's strength.
I think this went against the rules of what I had in my head, in that Mor has been the strongest person for winnowing this entire time. Mor will winnow the entire group, and Rhysand was only doing 1 to 2 people at a time throughout the last 2 books. So I just assumed Mor was better than Rhysand at winnowing large groups. And then Rhysand does this.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Rhysand has his entrance, the one time where it was like thunder clapped and Rhysand showed up. That made me think he was the best at it because he's like doing tricks.
I could have swore there was a time where he went back and forth winnowing people one time.
Yeah, and he got exhausted. You're right. I remember this.
Yeah, I could have swore he brought one person and he went back and then he brought another person. But Mor would bring a whole group.
It was Cassian, so he winnowed Cassian, and then he came back for Feyre and, who's the other guy? Azriel. You're right.
Okay, yeah.
Where were they going?
They were just going to the wall to go see the queens.
You're right. Yeah. Wow, weird. Yeah, why didn't he take them all in one lump?
I don't know, but he could take the whole army.
Maybe Feyre's really heavy for winnowing. Like, wow, she makes up like 900 people. That's a really good point. I honestly just pictured him like the Lollipop Guild. They're all just locked arm in arm, and then they just, boom, pop into their existence, and it's a wall of Illyrians.
But he also has to consider the location that he's taking all of them to, because I think there was one time that we talked about...
Geography is so important.
Yes, because they do bring this up, that the queens had to know every single item because you can winnow into something.
Yeah, he must know the summer court pretty well.
I think he knows everywhere pretty well, but to know where the bottom of the feet of the soldiers.
He's like, well, the tallest one here is Azrael, so...
Oh, they're all Illyrians. If he just brings winnows to the sky. And
You're really hoping they're all ready? Otherwise, they just start dropping like flies. You're like, well, 1 in 5 did not pick up on what was happening. There's always that one dipshit in every group where they just don't have the same rhythm everybody else has.
Where they're 40-foot wings and they're all locking arms and like, move.
That'd be so funny. Oh, what if their wings were already spread and they were just touching tips?
Oh my God.
Side to side. So
that would be efficient though. As far as
rather than like laying them out. Also, it's an army. Is it like a single battalion, do you think? I doubt it was the entire Illyrian army.
They did bring this up, and I zone out during these times whenever it's actual
I think I might have.
strategy. She talked about part of them are here, part of them are here, part of them here, because there's some on the southern border.
Right.
And then there's some that are there in Valaris, and then there's some that are in the Illyrian camp, and then there's some that went to Adriata.
Yeah, so let's say like at least a squadron now. That's a lot of people.
In the summer court had their guys in the spring court, and I think there were more Illyrians at this event than there were summer court Fae warriors.
Yes, okay, that makes sense. No, I think you're right. It took me a second. I kept thinking spring, not summer court. I'm like, wait a minute. What were they doing in the spring court? Never mind. Ignore me.
Do you remember why they're in the spring court?
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I'll tell you about it later then.
Oh.
Chapter 35 starts with Amren telling everyone she got a message. She didn't say who from.
I think we guessed.
Yeah, and they say at the end of this chapter that it was from Varian, warning them or to protect Valaris in the night court because of what's happening to the summer court. And they take this as we need to go protect the summer court. And they kind of interrogate Amren and she's like, I don't know.
What are you going to do? You can't threaten Amren. She has everything. She's been out there sniffing goat blood. She's living good. Side note, before we get any further in this, I'd like to point out, I was wrong on who was going to go to the summer court, though.
Yes, you thought Amren was going.
Yeah, it seemed like you would leave. No, I thought Amren would stay. Amren, Feyre, and Rhysand would stay. I thought more Cassian and Azrael would go because they didn't have prices on their head.
They have left Amren at Valaris to protect it once before, and it makes sense that they did again this time. I thought that they would go to the summer court, Feyre and Rhysand, as a way to get out of their blood diamond thing, whatever that is.
Yeah, I don't exactly know how they go about recalling the summer court's most wanted list.
I like the word recall because that happens in, what is my favorite movie like that?
What? Recall. Can you give me a scenario?
Stupid bringing up Jason Bourne, and it's not Jason Bourne. It is so...
Talking about shooter? What are we discussing?
No.
Give me a scenario in the movie.
Dead dog.
Oh, John Wick.
Yes. I didn't want to say that.
Oh,
yeah, John Wick.
You could have said Keanu Reeves.
I couldn't think of his name.
Oh my gosh. Just shoots a bunch of people.
But I was thinking of how it gets recalled there. There's like this whole event and this whole...
Yeah, you're right. He just has to kill every person who would dare try to kill him.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. That was a great movie. We should watch that instead of reading this book.
Nesta, Elaine, and Amren are staying behind. Morrigan is a badass. She is showing her warrior side to Feyre, and she's just in awe, and I kind of liked it.
Yeah, what kills me is Feyre taking the time to drown people. She's like, I'm going to make sure they... And it's not just killing them, it's a very thorough death. And I love that she's like, so I summoned water into his mouth and throat and waited until the life left his eyes before I quit.
That happened in these chapters?
Yeah, while they were tearing through, getting to the basement or whatever.
I was at work when listening to it, and I remember the winnow slash, and the beheadings going on, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, those very direct. But then at some point, Moore looks at her and is like, wow, you drowned that guy. And she's like, yeah, it was worth the extra 3 minutes. Like, also, if these people are superpowered, I have one little point here.
Which people are superpowered?
Everybody, right? All the high fae.
Yep.
Do you think that they can hold their breath? longer than a regular person?
No.
Okay. Would we say that maybe they're hyper athletic though?
Yes.
So with that, we would say maybe a good lung capacity, like that of an Olympic swimmer.
Sure. Yeah.
So if she's drowning him, it's taking like 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
It's a long time. The life does not leave their eyes quickly. It's a slow fade.
I don't even remember her drowning anyone.
Oh, yeah. She's done it twice.
This is all news to me.
Oh, no. No, she's done it twice. Once in these chapters and once...
I haven't even finished talking about 35.
Yeah, this is still chapter 35. While they're at the summer castle, yeah?
I haven't even told you they've made it there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said Nesta, Elaine, and Amren staying behind. And then I said Morrigan is a badass. And you're just like, yeah.
Oh, I assumed it was there that you were talking about.
No, it's because she was getting all dressed up.
No.
In her Illyrian gear and outfit. And her demeanor completely changed into this warrior and a whole new side that Feyre hadn't seen before. I don't remember this, but looking back, I wonder if Nesta saw this and was a little jealous.
Or turned on. Because we discussed this morning, there's another warrior lady who you have never been introduced to before. Would you like to say her name?
I'm not going there with you.
What? We talked about Kevin Sorbo last episode.
I didn't understand the references you have been making this entire time.
Xena Warrior Princess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out softcore porn. Had no idea. That's cool.
The 2 or 3 clips that you showed me, I'm just like, what is this? This was allowed on daytime TV? And you're like, no, only nighttime.
I think it was later allowed on daytime because they would do it on like, I can't remember which show. It was some public access type channel. They would do it for like a Xena marathon. Come back Sunday when you're done at church and watch Xena. And you're like, I think we're getting mixed messages here, but it was awesome. I love that show.
Is this what you're now picturing? How Moore got dressed up?
Every time I hear of a woman in Illyrian fighting leathers,
it's just Xena.
It's Xena's outfit, 100%. Would it not be for you? A little bit?
Maybe a little
bit. What
do
you picture
but no.
Before this?
I was picturing almost like a black leather jump, almost like Catwoman, but more effective.
Which one? Anne Hathaway Catwoman or...
I don't know, another Catwoman.
Oh my God. The titular Catwoman of the movie Catwoman?
Oh, we can't go there.
What's that? Halle Berry doesn't do it for you?
Oh, no. The whip scene, have you seen that one?
In Catwoman?
Yes. I think Halle Berry. No, it had to be someone else. Where she like knocks off the mannequins and she does 3 mannequin heads all in one cut.
I don't remember this exact scene, but...
It is the most attractive Catwoman scene ever.
Disagree. I'm going to say when Anne Hathaway gets on the motorcycle in the second Dark Knight movie is the most attractive. But I've got something for Anne Hathaway lately. It wasn't when I saw that scene, but in hindsight, I'm like, Anne Hathaway's amazing.
So this woman practiced using a bullwhip to the point she could accurately whip off the heads of mannequins on command in one cut, 3 mannequin heads.
For such a dominant personality, you have some very odd fetishes.
I think you would really like this video.
I think I would too. I'm going to Google it when we're not right here. You're going to have to show me before we go to bed. Is that a no? Never mind. This isn't pre-bedtime stuff. I gotcha. All right. Understood.
Well, I don't know what I'm picturing more in. I see her as just honestly a badass. So it's not even an attractive outfit to me. It is just, she is out to kick ass.
Yeah.
You are so full of it. Yeah, you're
I believe
ridiculous.
You. I believe you. My brain is not where yours is.
She shows up to, or they all show up.
No, I'm thinking of Halle Berry Catwoman, where it's like the plasticky leather suit. Do you remember this?
That was always so inefficient.
No, it was not.
It just reminds me of like fetish. What is that?
Like a gimp suit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a gimp suit.
It was a gimp suit with a cat mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'm learning something about myself. I don't know. All I can tell you is, you want to get the suit, I'll get the whip, we'll figure it out. Okay. All right, that's a no.
Black Widow was a great example of what I'm picturing more dressed as, but in her own movie. That one, in that white.
Okay, all right. Time to get back to where we were at now. Can you get your head back in the game? Or are you A little ScarJo baffled over here.
As soon as they show up to Adriata, that is when she notices Rhysand's power is limited because he did like some boom power. I don't know how to describe it. To push the boats out. I just kind of pictured a sonic boom, and it wasn't as big as Feyre was expecting.
Oh. Came in a little limp powered.
So she knew something was wrong then.
Yeah.
Then Mor and Feyre, after they got there, they winnowed into the palace. And I liked Mor's pep talk with Feyre of saying, don't worry if you can't kill anyone, take anybody out. If you can't, just have my back. Protect me.
Yeah, like if you can't kill him, I can. Not to worry.
Just look out for me. And I thought that was just such a lovely moment. And I don't know, I really liked it.
It was a really well thought through moment.
Yeah, it showed compassion, and yet we're moving forward. There's nothing that's going to stop us, whether we go this way or that way. We need to continue.
Is it weird to you the way they seem to kind of baby Feyre?
I don't think that they were babying her in this one. I think that they have been through this time and time again. They've been through multiple wars. They know what this is like, and they acknowledge that this is her first time in war.
I mean, within the way that she can handle herself, right? Rhysand kind of brings up, like, the Autumn Court guy's going to try to hurt you. It's like, let him fucking try. She's Feyre Cursebreaker. She's got it all going on. She's got all the superpowers.
I think it has less to do with babying her and just more to do with this is what you do for your friend, is how I'm taking it. I don't
really willing to hang Asriel and Cassian out to dry, is all I'm saying. If you believe in her combat prowess, Asriel and Cassian, nobody tells them, like, hey man, you're not on your game today. Why don't you sit out? Let Big Daddy take care of it. Asriel got left in the woods and caught. Like, I don't know. I feel like the confidence they have in Feyre isn't that high in her ability yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would say that's true.
But it seems like then you'd want to be like honing that, being like, hey, we're about to have this pretty important meeting. In the way that Nesta is being coached by Amren, nobody is doing this for Feyre.
I thought Rhysand has been this whole time.
I guess maybe. We just keep hearing about Nesta's coaching, and we keep hearing about her.
That was the whole point of Mist and Fury.
Right. I'm saying if you don't yet have that confidence in her ability, you would continue, right?
Yeah.
That's all. It wasn't, like, I'm not upset with it. I don't think it's a plot hole. I'm just pointing out that I find that interesting. That they got her to a certain point, they're like, that's all the more powerful you really need to be.
Yeah, they haven't been training ever since, have they?
No, she still can't winnow that well. She's been practicing flying, but that seems like kind of that's a luxury power. You do that once, you can command the other ones well enough.
I've already had this argument before. That one really hurts me.
Flying's cool. I'm just saying we could be doing both flying and other power montages.
Yeah, I think there are things that are better use of her time, but I won't get into it, and I'm just chugging along because I'm assuming there is a very good reason later that she needs to learn how to fly.
Yeah.
And if it isn't, and it was just for funsies, I'm going to be pissed.
Honestly, I hope they have a moment where she's like, fly like an eagle to the sea. And she's just like cruising out there. Like, that's how this whole thing ends. She just T-poses and shoots into the sky.
Into the sunset.
Do you remember the first Matrix movie, how it ends?
No.
It ends with Neo squatting down and then full on just Superman flying straight up in the air.
And it was such terrible CGI, wasn't it?
Well, now, yes. At the time, no. But imagine Feyre at the end just T-poses, like Jesus, and then shoots into the sky like that, and then wings spread, and she's just gliding. Pearl Jam slowly playing in the background.
I hope I remember this at the end of the book, because if it is a just slow fade scene, that's what.
Well, not the end of his book. I mean, the end of the series. Oh. Feyre flies off, and then it's just even flow. She's just cruising through the skies, T-posing.
I'm moving you forward.
Okay.
Chapter 36, I have, again, Morrigan is incredible at clearing the palace. She is just a badass, and I loved all of the credit and just all of the attention on Mor. It's what I've been wanting. I pictured the scene similar to Ciri in The Witcher. The little dash and strike, dash and strike.
That is kind of your go-to for the winnow and strike thing, which I think is a really good call.
I really love Ciri.
Yeah.
Not the TV show version, the video game version of Ciri.
Did you not like the TV show version?
She's a child in the TV show one.
Okay, I didn't realize we were talking about attraction. I thought we were just talking about how much we appreciated the character.
She didn't get her powers yet.
What?
In the TV show, it wasn't to the point that she trained with...
I thought it was in that last season.
Maybe. I didn't finish the last season.
I don't remember if I did or not. I think you would be right.
It was still before she became a Witcher. In this chapter, Feyre couldn't reach Rhys, but then he lets her in to see through his eyes. This was another nice one where I like that we could see his perspective without her being there and them interacting and all that. But I was just kind of wondering, what is Feyre doing during this entire chapter?
I think that's the best part. We kind of know. Because Mora's trying to get her goddamn attention the whole time. Feyre's been chilling for 5 minutes, mouth agape, drool slowly coming out of her mouth, just staring off into the sun. And Mora's like, Feyre, wake up, Feyre. Like, do you think she thought Feyre was being attacked by a Damati? And she's like, oh no, they cooked her. Like, what do we do?
Well, I'm just kind of thinking of just like standing there staring at a wall, even you're just in the hallway of the palace, just zoned out.
Oh, in my mind, she's making a noise the whole time.
No.
Just a flat tone. Just a...
Have you ever been so checked out that you end up talking out loud? And yes, actually you have been. I can answer that for you because you have done this before. Where you're just like, did I say that out loud? I'm like, yes, you did. Would you like me to join the conversation with you?
Yeah, and it really depends on the conversation I'm having at that moment. Yeah. No, I think you're 100% right.
But it'd be funny if she was just talking out loud and she's just like, kill him.
Yeah, right. And Moore's like, I'm trying. You're not helping. What do you want from me? What I was going to say is that was my favorite part of this chapter was that at the end, Moore's like, Feyre, like trying to get her attention. And you're like, oh yeah, so Feyre is just fucking zombified over there. That's cool. Now we know. And it also really removes some of the mystery from the other time she's been having mental conversations with people.
I think it was more than 5 minutes. How long do you think Rhysand's conversation was with the king?
Oh, it seemed to drag on forever.
I thought it felt like it would have been 20 minutes.
Whoa. Okay, I didn't feel like there was that much information being exchanged.
All right.
I would say it's 5 minutes. Oh, okay. All right, let's go 10 minutes. A 10-minute conversation with a hologram that he doesn't pick up on the fact that it's a hologram.
It's such a good hologram that the king of Hybern, could tell that Rhysand tried going into his mind.
So herein lies the question. When they're trying to get into somebody's mind, is their physical proximity that important? I thought it was a proximity game, right? I remember saying...
I think it is proximity.
How fucking powerful would he have to be to reach the king's mind if he's not really there? He got him all the way from the summer court to Hybern.
No, he didn't reach his mind.
No, but he was near enough to it the king could see it coming. King's like, ooh, you'll have to do better than that. Then,
like the little dollar suit.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Get you $1.
Oh, you'll have to be quicker than that. That's exactly what I took it as. And honestly, I'm enjoying the King of Hybern as a character.
I like him.
Because he has that arrogance that we miss in Rhys. And Rhys has this arrogance that is clearly part of that mask, right? Because he's panicking.
I like that we can hear that he recognizes his panic and he controls his outward mask. This may be what I'm thinking of, where Feyre's in his head and she's notices that he's thinking these things, but he's calm, cool, and collected and completely unfazed.
Yeah, I would say he's in control all the time.
The conversations between Tarquin and the king, I think that is what's tipping Rhysand over.
When are those addressed?
When they're at the Illyrian camp and he is being really open with Feyre and they're talking to each other and he's concerned and she sees his shoulders slump. It's one of those times where he's always trying to put on a good face, like the unfazed look.
Oh, you're saying conversations between Rhysand and Tarquin and then Rhysand and the king.
Yes.
I thought you were saying when Tarquin is talking to the king, and I'm like,
Nope.
Oh, fuck, I missed that whole part.
I just didn't explain it well.
No, you did good. I'm sure it was more obvious, and my brain was just elsewhere.
No, it was poorly put together.
Best laid plans. What are you going to do?
But yeah, he seems to be falling apart and genuinely concerned for his wife. I mean, you have Tarquin, who wants to kill her and doesn't like her, and you have the king, who was kind of maniacal because he's not like, I'm going to take your wife and you're going to watch. You're going to be dead, and then she's helpless without you. And somehow...
Like, I'm going to fuck her, and then I'm going to let Tamlin have her afterward.
Yeah.
Like, it was...
And you're going to be dead, and there's nothing you can do about it. It was insane, and I loved it. I loved the madness and just the mental...
What would have been cool if he's like, you remember that little ring with an eyeball? I'm going to have a pretty blue ring. Like, you know what I mean?
Violet.
That effect.
His eyes are violet.
And sometimes they're described as blue.
And that was a mistake, and it was intended to be violet that entire time.
And violet is not blue. We've gone over this?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know why she described his eyes as blue that one time, and it never happened again. Is this the book series where you can just miss somebody?
Yeah.
Remember this? Is it this?
Yeah, he did this in the Summer Court, remember?
And he hasn't done it since.
I feel like it's happened, right? Or did I just hold on to that for a long time?
I think it was such a badass move that we haven't seen again, and this felt like it was going to be a great scene to just try to miss somebody.
I wonder what the rules are with that, too. Like, he's like, I tried to come at him with spears of power, and it's like, why didn't you try to miss him? That seems way more efficient.
I don't think you'll see it coming.
Yeah, stop trying to stab people, man. Just blow them up.
And the dampening is actually on the siphons. There's some type of spell that is doing that. Chapter 37, the king appears. They're on the boat and all that. This whole time, I'm picturing almost Pirates of the Caribbean style interaction.
Is the king Jack Sparrow?
No, Rhysand is Jack Sparrow. Not literally. I just have like that style of boats. This is not modern day boats. This isn't a yacht like I pictured that Tarquin had. These were old-timey ships, like pirate ships. And
no
the king
bikini
is on
babes
them.
on these ones.
No.
This is bullshit. I don't even want to be on that boat. This sucks. It's all scurvy and shit. Get out of here.
I think she's described the king as handsome, hasn't she?
Yeah.
They're all handsome.
She's described every single Fey person as better looking than the last. Like, can you imagine this world that she lives in where every new person is that much better looking? That's incredible. I want to live in that world. That's a lie.
So it's like a handsome Davy Jones situation.
Okay. All right. Davy Jones Beckham. I'm here to help.
Rhysand is being logical of the consequences of taking out the king in this moment. I like that because Feyre's just like, kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him. Like being like the little devil on your shoulder voice. And he's just like, I'm thinking about it, but I don't think I should.
And Feyre's like, do it.
Do it.
My favorite thing is that we just discussed how Feyre goes in half-cocked and it just happens to work out for her. And she's leaning heavily into that. You're right.
She's so confident.
She's like, do it and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, she's completely switched to, I'm done thinking about things. I'm just going to do it and it's going to work out great.
I thought for 15 chapters and it was hard.
I'm done thinking.
It didn't even work out. I ended up eating this shitty apple. It's the last time I think. She's immediately going back. I adore Feyre.
But she's not wrong.
Well,
it is working out for her. And I bet that if he killed the king, she would have been like, you really messed up there. That was a sloppy job.
Told you to miss him, not stab him.
But if Feyre does it, it's fine.
Yeah, Feyre could accidentally bludgeon somebody and be like, I think it was the most humane way I could have done it.
She probably would have made a deal with him and got another fucking tattoo on herself.
She's going to get one of those cute ones, though, with the compass on her back. That's so funny. She makes a deal with Tarquin, but now it's just a dolphin on her lower back. It says Tarquin. It's got a little heart. For those who know what it means. Tarquin's like, I'm going to make her make dolphin noises.
So,
okay.
I was just thinking of, she just wants tattoos, and rather than just going to someone, she just keeps making deals.
Like, tattoos are very expensive.
It's just way cheaper to just make deals with devils.
And it's so fast. Like, she gets them immediately. She's not sitting in a chair.
The one with Rhysand, she was nearly dead. There was a whole chapter in dialogue of her slowly drifting and dying. Because I remember thinking of like, Feyre just make the deal? And she keeps asking questions. I'm like, wow, that was a great question. I did not think to ask that because I would have made the deal much sooner.
Well, I totally agree with you. I think almost all of these tattoos were somewhat things of necessity. I would argue her whole like wristband tattoo or whatever, her barbed wire on her bicep.
It's just a barbed wire now in my head. The king knew Rhys reached for his mind. This one's confusing. Feyre was able to see when the twins were reaching for Lucien and Tamlin's minds. She saw the spears leaving from them to Lucien.
I mean,
He
Lucien
blocked
could
it.
also see it.
No, he couldn't.
He has magic eye. He sees things. He sees magic.
I need to take this in for a minute. He didn't do anything, though, when they were at the table.
Yeah, it's true. And it's the only time we haven't heard of his metal eye word. So, you're probably right. Maybe he had his metal eye closed. He's winking at him.
He just blinked at the wrong time.
They're like, how's your food? He's like, it's fine. And then they're like, get him quick while his eyes closed.
Well, I thought...
Feyre stopped it. Now he just sees an adamant wall in front of him. Adamant. That's the word we were...
Adamant wall.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought it was a Demati thing that they could see this. Other Demati can see what you're doing.
It must be. I assume the king is also Demati at this point.
But this is what I was trying to bring up with it, is that this projector is so good. It's not a projector. That it's a spell.
It's a magic hologram.
That's the only explanation, to be able to be so real that everyone around you thinks you're real, right?
Like Michael Jackson in his new concerts.
Even better than that.
Whoa. I don't know.
That he could tell what Rhysand was doing, and Rhysand still, I don't know, it just didn't make sense. That you could perceive things through this magic, but other than it's just magic, and I need to accept that. It's magical.
Side note, I think all kings are projections. Michael Jackson, king of pop. Hybern, king of Hybern. He shows up. Elvis, king of rock and roll. They're all projections.
You are ridiculous.
Yeah, the fun kind.
The king talked about Amarantha and the twins. I don't really know if anything important was said here other than it just irritated Rhysand and Feyre.
Well, the king of Hybern got emotional. I think that's a big thing.
Because of his niece and nephew.
Yeah, he got pissed off about his niece and nephew dying. So that means he is a monster, but he's a monster with a heart.
Now, I picture him more mafia style, not
You
the
killed my
Davy...
family.
Yeah, not Davy Jones anymore.
Oh, just Al Capone.
Yeah.
And a sailor hat. That would be so cool. He's not dressed like a pirate anymore. He's dressed like a sailor. Like he has a little white thing and the stripes. You know what I mean? The collar. He's like Donald Duck in it. He's just letting it flop. Oh, God. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
He shares that Tamlin's not happy with them. I'm not surprised. Tamlin's never happy.
And they were all shocked.
What? Tamlin? No.
Tamlin's wife left and took his best friend. Aww. We thought he'd be over it by now. It's been months.
This is when we learned that the spell is a dampener, and he starts this war. Oh, yeah. What did you think about the whole reason of why he started this war? The king and all this. He said that it's due to not liking humans and being shut off from resources. He said something about, well, everybody's welcome at the table according to Rhysand, but only if you think like Rhysand.
Yeah. I thought we kind of went over this. In those chapters that you really hated, that were heavily exposition, they kind of went over this already. This was not new information.
It was very new to me. I told you, when I zoned out in those chapters, and I kept trying, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm falling asleep.
We did lightly discuss this, though, where they felt alienated because they no longer had their human slaves and blah, 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 and because they were on the other side of the war, so on and so forth. I think that's really all he was doing, just reiterating the same shit.
Yeah, I kind of did note that.
So I also have one note before we leave the King of Hybern with this. Rhys being upset that he couldn't tell it was a projection, right? He's like, I didn't know it was an illusion, Michael. You know, he was all wound up.
Illusions.
Here's what gets me with that. That means that he's aware of this can be done, right? Why the fuck are they having such a hard time meeting somewhere? Why don't they all just zoom their way into this? Like in, what's Star Wars?
They don't have access to these spells.
Yeah, but he's aware of a spell exists. Like, wouldn't you have
They
looked
don't
this
have
in
the
a
book.
few hundred years? I feel like somebody had to know.
I think that was the whole point of the library discussion of everything was burned and destroyed. They don't have those things anymore.
Well, that's convenient. All right, fine. They all got to meet somewhere.
In chapter 38, Feyre finally comes back to reality. More is freaking out, but also soothing. Almost like a, thank God you're back. Let's keep moving forward. Don't worry. Things are going to be fine.
Trying to pre-treat some of the PTSD that's going to happen.
Yes, and Feyre kind of gets stuck in her own head now. Oh, and she throws up. I thought she threw up because she was in Rhysand's head for too long. Because Rhysand says, you've been here for too long now. And then he kicks her out. And she comes back to, and she throws up. And this is the part where Moore was soothing. She's like, it's okay. This happened to me, the first time I went to war also, and just being kind and thoughtful. But I thought she threw up not because of all the blood and gore, but because she was in Rhysand's head for too long.
I think you're right, because she didn't throw up after she murdered those kids under the mountain.
Oh, she did get PTSD.
Yeah, but not
But she didn't throw
visceral
up.
reaction
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think she got more or less motion sick.
So that tells me there is a limit of how long you can be inside somebody's head.
I think it's a limit on power for her, too. I think she has all of these gifts, and she hasn't built up stamina for her power. So I think anytime she's using it for too long, Rhys is like, whoa, signal's getting a little weak. You're probably running out of juice.
That's a good point. Feyre has quite a bit of a dialogue about war, what she's seen, what she's experiencing. I think this section is kind of preparing for her really struggling when she gets back.
Which I think is great.
Because she's noticing war is messy. It wasn't people orderly in lines, and
it was chaos.
A lot of chaos. They show up to Tarquin and Varian, and she points out Varian has a handsome face, which I just liked. He is in full trauma mode, and his voice is hoarse, and she's like, but he's still handsome, even covered in blood.
He is the exact opposite of Amren, also.
What do you mean?
Amren is dark-haired, statuesque, blah, blah, blah. This dude is always animated every time we've heard about him, right? He's cagey as fuck. Even when he's watching Amren, he's not secretive about it. He's just like following her places and jittery. He's white blonde hair, blah, blah, blah. Against his dark skin, Amren's nearly transparently white with black hair and silently moves very stilly.
Cat and dog.
Yeah.
They were described that way, which I thought was really cute.
Yeah. Maybe he's a wiener dog.
Well, in this moment, so Varian is called up next to Tarquin. And later, when they show back, Amren asks about Varian in a clever way of saying, like, did you see him? Anything about him? And they're like, yeah,
How's
we
his
did.
Penis? I was glad to see that because then she has some romantic interest, but she doesn't need it.
I think it's romantic, but also friendship. I think they write each other letters.
Yeah, like great friends do.
Yeah, but I don't think that it's like a full-blown relationship.
It's not romantic entirely.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And it was just I really liked it. So when re-listening to this and seeing Varian, I didn't catch anything of him asking about Amren, but...
He doesn't need to.
No.
She's getting the letters. Do you think they're letters like Harry Potter letters? Like they flop around and the envelope talks to you? That'd be so cool.
I don't understand their letter system because the letters to the queen took forever. Those mailed like normal mail horse and buggy style, I believe. It was just very slow. Rhysand can send letters with magic, just like a text message. But I don't
also send mind vibes with images like text messages. So,
but I don't think Amren can text like that. I think she has to literally send a letter, and there's a little Fae on a horse riding from one location to another.
I think that's wonderful that you believe that.
Yes.
I think it's adorable. He's just out there on a Pegasus, just doing what he can do, flying through the skies.
Oh, I wasn't even picturing any flying, just a little horse.
It's like a miniature horse and a large Fae. He's just piled with letters. It looks like a pack mule That's so cool. I'm picturing a Shetland pony and a 6'8" man on top of it with 7,000 pounds of letters. The poor horse is just a regular horse, so it's not even as strong as he is. And it's just back. It's just got this huge dip in it.
No, that's so sad. Tarquin thought...
Hold on. One more. Hi-ho, silver, away. And then he just did it. And it's like 3 or 4 little steps. Go ahead.
I was just going back to the discussion with Tarquin and Feyre. I was genuinely shocked to hear Tarquin's perspective. I thought their actions, Feyre and Rhysand's, were so obvious that it could only be interpreted one way. To hear another interpretation of it, I really enjoyed it. That he said everything that they did, and it was accurate what he said, but the interpretation was completely different. He thought she took down the spring court so Hybern could take it over, as opposed to she took down the spring court so she could take down Hybern. I was so impressed. I just felt so silly of just being mind blown that is a logical response for the summer court.
Well, and I think we discussed this when we talked about her destabilizing the spring court. We're like, oh, this is not going to make things easier for Prithian. It just makes it nice to kick Tamlin in the nuts.
But then what it did was it broke up the summer court, because the summer court went to support the spring court, because then I even thought, oh, Feyre and Rhysand are coming to rescue the summer court. Obviously, he's going to be like, well, this was my interpretation, but I understand now what you guys were doing. And even after all of this, it still makes sense that he's upset.
Not only is Tarquin upset, but Tarquin has his sexist moment, which blew my mind, because it's very much like, you know, when you're starting to date somebody and they're giving you the dating version of themselves, right? It's the best possible version of themselves. And you get to know them better and something rubs you the wrong way.
I didn't take it as a sexist moment, only because being High Lady was just so foreign of a concept to anyone. When we think of like having a female president, that's not outrageous because you can vote for a woman. It hasn't happened, but it's not like completely foreign, because I don't think that they think that a woman is capable of even containing as much power as Feyre has, because it's never happened before.
I would give you that. I would argue him saying, Rhysand, tell your woman not to talk to a high lord like that.
Yeah.
Points me in the direction of, oh no, he's a sexist dickhead. He was putting on his best face for a while, and then now he has hurt feelings, and it's, tell your woman? No, you're the High Lord in this situation. If you feel as though you're being disrespected as a High Lord by somebody, you say, I am a High Lord, because he says it to her once. He's like, watch your tone with me. I'm a High Lord, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, motherfucker, this is what I'm telling you. He doesn't then go, listen, I'm going to lay this out for you. I don't want to be a dickhead here, but I'm in charge and you're not a High Lord. He doesn't say that. He says, Rhysand, tell your woman. And that's where I'm like, oh, no, you fucked up.
I forgot about that part. When you had first said it, I was thinking of him telling Rhysand after he's like, she's a high lady. He's just like, oh, you sure know how to shake things up. I don't know exactly what he said.
You spit in the face of tradition.
Yes, that was the part that I thought you were referencing as being sexist. I completely forgot that he's just like completely ignored Feyre and only spoke to Rhysand.
I think, to be fair, both of those things. And even if he had just ignored Feyre, you could take that as he's only going to speak to people who he believes are on his level. But when he talks to Feyre a bit and then tells Rhysand, by the way, keep your bitch on a leash, basically. I'm like, oh, no. It was, and I don't disagree with him being angry.
I don't disagree with him being angry. And this was a moment where I felt Rhysand loved Feyre. Like, there's all the sexual moments and all of those, but this one, it was just like, I felt emotions, I guess, from that. The only thing that I think it would have been just a touch better would have been, so they're turning around, walking away or something like that, because Feyre pauses after Tarquin says this to Rhysand, is if Rhysand just turns and looks at her and says, go ahead, and lets her tell Tarquin, That would have just been the smidge better of Rhysand being like, you obviously can tell him because you're a high lady.
So I also thought that it was a great moment where Rhysand's like, oh no, she is your equal. She's my equal. She's below no one. Right. I think that was an amazing move. It made me appreciate Rhysand, which is something. Because in general, I like Rhysand, but sometimes he's a regular Oreo, not a double stuffed. You know, there's just not enough there for me sometimes. But he's still good.
This was the Rhysand that we saw in the beginning when he
was wooing her.
Yes. And it was really nice to get that back a little bit.
Yeah, where it wasn't just sexual energy. I agree. But again, I think the other thing they could have done if they wanted to be remotely productive is they listened to his perspective. Now you have him over a barrel. Like, it's a shitty thing to do, but amongst all the other shitty things you've done, now you say, okay, I heard you out. Because this is also just an effective tool of communication. Letting him be a bitch and just cry about how he sees things does nobody any good, including him. He's a young High Lord. He's still young and he's selfish and dumb. Take a moment and be like, actually, we weren't setting things up for Hybern. Your buddy Tamlin sold his court to Hybern because he wanted Feyre back.
I have this later of why not just be honest in that moment? Why are they not talking? The only thing that they said in that moment was go tend to your wounded.
And he's not going to do it anyway. He has no blood on his armor. I would like to point that out as well. Tarquin was in that room calling the shots the whole time. He was the general. He was not on the front lines. They bring up how his second in command had blood and stuff all over him. And the dichotomy was between he and Tarquin, where Tarquin's armor was shining and gleaming.
Yeah, that was a good catch. I didn't catch that.
Tarquin lost a lot of points for me in this, but I am so fickle when it comes to this. I'm like, oh, Tarquin's a sexist, judgy, whiny piece of shit. Then I'm like, oh, he's still a teenager. I will give him more patience. But I think Rhysand and Feyre could have helped themselves out a bit by saying, okay, we appreciate where you're coming from on this. This is actually what's going on here.
And that's how chapter 38 ends, is telling him she's the High Lady. I also have Feyre tells Tarquin to tend to his wounded, and I loved her confidence. When I think of 20-year-old me, if I was in any position of authority, I wasn't, but if I was, I would not have spoken that way. I like how Feyre understands her role and she assumes it.
I think I totally agree with you. I would say I think part of Feyre's confidence is Rhysand never says, ooh, Feyre, don't do that. He backs her up and then later on he's like, so maybe we could have tweaked this a little here or there. And the other thing is she is arguably the most powerful person as far as a regular person there. There is a certain amount of confidence with the fact that she's like, I have your water powers, I could turn into you, I got Illyrian wings, I do shadows and ice and fire. I'm the shit. And if you don't believe me, watch me glow my way out of here.
They talk about how they're going to keep it quiet later. That she could show the ones that are similar to Rhysand only. In chapter 39, they go to the Illyrian camp near Adriata.
They go to the Illyrian camp at Adriata?
Yeah, I guess they have one that's like outside of the city. I had to re-listen to it.
On a hill.
Yeah.
I think it's just a cliff face too. When you imagine Adriata, what sort of city are you imagining?
Golden, on a beach, sunny, and always like a sunset sun.
Do you remember Breath of the Wild, the fish people city?
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I think of a different one where it's like white and gold. There's something in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, one of those cities. I do know which one you're talking about.
So I think of that one because of the fish people, primarily. But also, it's surrounded in water, and there's these big cliffs overlooking everything. So when I imagined them driving the ships out of there, and on their way to Hybern, it was like they were just getting them across the lake. What's it called? The Dorian city? Something like that?
It's something like that.
300 hours, and I can't remember that name.
I know. I missed that game. I was thinking about that recently, like a homesick feeling. I'm not playing it.
I was just going to say, I was going to ask you to play it then yesterday.
Yeah, but we've been reading this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kids started school. We're wild.
So they're back at the Illyrian camp. Rhysand is bothered the king chose the library to attack him because he knew it was personal. I'm more shocked that the king knew that they were there at the library at that time. Not just that he chose there, but that they were there at that time.
King's got good intel.
Rhysand is vulnerable, like under the mountain, the first time where he comes to Feyre when she's just sitting in her jail cell. And it was just nice that he's just opening up and has that relationship with her. And Feyre doesn't want to go to the meeting putting on a typical mask to be honest. And I think it's about time.
I agree. However, if you're these other High Lords, this dude has had this reputation forever. And he's suddenly like, actually, I was just pretending to be an asshole. All those things I did where I was an asshole was to keep my cover. It's going to take more than a meeting.
They acknowledge it, and I like that because I was like, you guys have kind of been buttholes for a little while now. And they're like, they might think it's manipulative. And I really like the approach of, that's fine that they think that, but we need to be honest.
And I totally get it. I think it's a very Feyre approach. I think you could baby step him into it. And instead of telling him, oh, it's been an act this whole time, be like, hey, that part of me is real. This other part of me is also real. And I'm leaning more into this other part.
Yeah, because it's not really a mask when he does go to the hewn city and murder people.
Yeah, what he was doing under the mountain was real. There are a lot of things where painting yourself to be an overall positive thing is okay, but I would say them leaning into the fact that they're morally gray, probably more honest.
Yeah, and judge me by my actions, which is went to the summer court and did this. Tell them what happened at Highburn even.
And why? Why
Yes.
do you need to convince any of these people? They were all against Highburn already. Like, you don't even need to convince them. Be like, hey, are you guys upset with the fact that Highburn isn't currently fucking up our lives? Oh, you are not? Cool. Let's work together. Kick the shit out of Highburn, and then we're at status quo. Let's go back to living our own lives. I think that alone is probably enough of a sales pitch.
I'm curious to see how it goes.
I want to talk about one of the other High Lords' names. Don't let me forget.
Yes. Who?
The Day Court.
Mm-hmm.
That High Lord's name is something like Helio, right? Do you know why that's cool?
No.
Helio or Helion was the Greek personification of the sun.
Oh, that's where the name comes from?
Yeah, that's the only reason I can remember his name. I know the other one starts with a C.
I don't know their names until it's been repeated 30 sometimes.
I can remember Darkwing.
I like that name.
I haven't even been able to remember Rhys that much, so.
You forgot Feyre's name.
Oh yeah, that happens. But I never forget Nesta. Okay.
You were ridiculous. Speaking of Nesta, after they get done with that, they're going to keep her power quietish. They don't know where Miriam's at. I think there was a little tiny X going on, little scene. She, I think, flashed him. Yeah.
No, they fucked.
They did. Okay.
So she starts getting him naked in the tent, and he's like, oh, this camp is pretty small. Like, everybody's going to hear us. And
she didn't care.
She's like, you better be quiet then. I guess Rhysand's the screamer of the two. And then she's like, I felt a barrier go around the tent so people wouldn't hear us. And then they fucked.
Okay, I put a question mark next to it because I wasn't sure if they did or not. Back to Valaris.
Why wouldn't they winnow home? He can winnow an army there. Winnow the fuck home and then winnow back. See him in the morning. Sleep in your own bed. You're 500 years old. Don't sleep in a tent. What's wrong with you?
I think they kind of just like banging everywhere.
I get it, and I'm willing to try. But I'll warn you, I won't do my best work in a tent. There's no walls to bang you against.
To roar.
Well, I mean, I could do that in a tent.
So they go back to Valaris. Amren was worried about Varian. And here was the Nesta moment. It was so good. And I think this scene was so good because of 3 books of hearing how nasty Nesta can be and mean, so you know exactly how she said it to Mor.
Yeah, and also, when you said we know how nasty Nesta can be, I took it differently. I was like, I'm ready to hear how nasty Nesta can be. I'm ready for it. Give me that chapter. What I really liked about it wasn't just the kind of reciprocation of Nesta and Cassian, but also the value Cassian has to Mor. I think that
Cassian wasn't there at this point.
correct. They're discussing Cassian, and Mor is hyper defensive of almost possessive of Cassian.
Yeah, I have
It
is
was really
more
nice.
jelly because she did not sound happy, which doesn't make sense because if she wasn't jealous, you would be happy that other people care about his well-being.
You'd be stoked that the guy who's been sniffing her for months, arguing with her just to get a little whiff of her hair, the girl that he's been fawning over, is concerned for his safety. You would be ecstatic.
But I think the jealousy is losing Cassian's friendship. Kind of like the idea where you don't hang out together as often type of thing.
I don't think so.
Or his attention?
Yeah, I think the reason why so first of all, she lost her virginity to him.
Like 500 years ago.
Yeah, and then they bang every so often in the middle of all of that, remember? They did it
didn't
again
think
on
that they
Star
did.
Night or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was the second time that they slept
In
together.
500 years?
Yeah, because Feyre kind of asked more, do you guys ever? She's like, oh, no.
She said we have, here and there.
Oh, wow. I don't listen well. I didn't think that they did.
Yeah, no, I think it's happened. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think she might have even said it's been close to happening a few times.
Yeah.
We haven't. That means there's sexual tension. And first of all, I love Mor more than amazing friend. Mor needs to get in her fucking lane on this one. Because Nesta finally taking an interest in Cassian. Super duper exciting. Mor being a little envious of it, I think is completely normal and awesome. And I love that they put it in there. But now I hope that Mor's character arc is like, what the fuck? And she's like complaining to Azriel, and Azriel's like, yeah, sounds awful. Sure is weird when the person who you want to be banging is banging your friend.
Weird.
Wouldn't want to be you. I'll just be walking over here with my big old penis. And he like walks away and just throws it over his shoulder back to the salt mines. No, I don't know. It'd be awesome.
I feel like we need to clear up where the big dong Azriel is coming from.
He's got the biggest wings,
Yes.
and he's the tallest.
Yes.
And I think just canonically, he's known to have an enormous dick.
Yeah, because they said wing size matters.
Well, yeah. And I think at some point somebody was like missing an arm or a leg or something. And there was mention of just replacing it with Azriel's dick.
Definitely did not happen.
Oh, that was just in my head then. That's fine.
So chapter 39 ended with the jealousy scene. And Amren and Nesta, Amren's just like, Nesta, quit talking about Cassian. Get down here. We're going to continue
Well,
our
here we
life.
discuss boys. And then she's like, but how was my boy on the summer court?
Well, she did her one question, essentially. Like, did you see him? Yes.
Good.
Moving
So he
or
lives.
lying down, not moving.
He lives. Good.
That's all I care about.
That's right.
But I love that they have a good friendship between Amren and Nesta.
Yeah.
Amren,
Close.
yeah, I was going to say, I think Amren is closer to Nesta than she ever was with Feyre.
I think Nesta respects Amren.
Yeah.
And I think Amren likes that there's somebody who kind of challenges her.
She said that there's a few more days to go until
She's ready.
she's ready.
If she can figure out how to read the last of the book or something. Which I also love that they address it like, this fucking book's annoying. She's reading until her eyes bleed and the book won't shut the fuck up. I'm like, she's really putting in the work. And then in her waking hours, she's training Nesta, who's sunshine and rainbows. I can see why Amren's getting a little grumpy and needs to go sacrifice or whatever.
Needs a trip to see Varian.
Blow off a little steam.
Yeah. Chapter 40, they go meet the bone carver. And I have been waiting to ask you this question all day. Who did Rhysand see the first time?
I think it was Amaranth.
I remember it now. It was Jurian.
Jurian, that is it. Yes. There we go. I just remembered it being an old enemy. Yeah,
Yes.
it was Jurian. Can we talk about the most badass move that ever happened with the bone carver?
Which was?
When they go to leave, he's like, where's my bones? And he's like crying about it. And Rhysand just tosses a little chicken wing in there. He's like, it's from lunch. That's awesome. How cool would it be if it was like one of those deformed ones, like what we were talking about before? But this guy's like, what the fuck was wrong with this chicken? That'd be amazing. I love that could become a plot point.
So stupid.
He still wants his mirror. What's cool is, I think we get a hint as to what the mirror does.
He said that it shows him his home.
It's a window to the outside world.
What
Right.
outside world?
I
Other
thought he said the
dimensions?
outside world. Did he not say that?
I thought it was, I don't know what it said.
I took it as he's going to look into that mirror and see all the shit that would normally drive somebody crazy. And instead, it's going to give him some perspective on things. And then he's like, well, then I'm yours to use. But it's like, okay, he's going to like put his power or something in that mirror to store it so he can fucking leave the mountain, not have to be recognized or anything, be mostly useless. And then he's like, oh, I'll come back and get my bone carving powers.
Will you go back and listen to that later? Because I'm interested in knowing exactly what he said later.
Yes.
So Feyre demanded the bone carver choose a new object. He says, firstborn child, your first child. Literally me right now. And I'm glad that she didn't question it for a second. I don't know why I thought she would kind of question it and think of the logistics. She
First of all, that's not in character for Feyre. Second of all, what?
She questions it. She thinks everything through. There's always a long dialogue, and I'm glad that she didn't.
I would argue Feyre thinks about one moment of the problem very specifically for a long time. She does not think it through. She gets to the first left turn and hangs there for a while reading the street sign. That being said, what else does that imply?
I don't know what it implies.
They're going to have more than one kid. Your firstborn.
No,
your
said,
future child.
I don't know if he said firstborn.
He did.
Said
no,
that.
He said firstborn.
Oh.
And Rhys also points out, he's like, firstborn. Like there's that moment.
Yeah.
So I think it implies there's going to be more than one kid eventually.
It sounded like Feyre found comfort in the bone carver questioning her being scared or them being scared because she's like, you're not? And he's like, no. And explained why, and I already forgot, but I do remember the emotions that I was feeling in that moment, which was she felt comfort.
Which kind of blows my mind because what I thought the bone carver was saying is, I'm going to be fine no matter what.
I took it as him saying, it's not a big deal.
Oh, to get the mirror is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he was kind of downplaying it. And that seemed to where she was like, oh, you're not scared? And he's like, no. You are? She's like, I don't remember anymore.
She's like,
clearly,
yeah,
I have the memory of a guppy.
She's like, it drives fucking everybody crazy. She's like, can you please just pick an item that won't drive me to madness getting it? He's like, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And I want the fucking mirror. And she's like, please pick anything else. And he's like, fine, your firstborn kid. She's like, God damn it, fine, I'll get you your goddamn mirror. Actually, she doesn't say that. I think she says, we're done here, toodaloo.
That sounds about right.
And then they throw a chicken wing at him.
Did you catch that Rhysand didn't come in to the room?
Yes.
Why?
She kind of addresses this. Rhysand refused to go in, and partially because they thought that it might help them bargain a bit more if they didn't seem incredibly desperate, number one. And number two, I think the idea was Rhysand couldn't add anything to this conversation.
No.
Feyre could handle this.
Who do you think he saw? Jurian again?
I don't think he looked at him this time.
Well, he came in. He said, why is he out there? Come on in.
Oh, you're right. Maybe.
They don't tell us who he saw. But I really...
But he loved when he asked her, he's like, what did he look like?
And she showed him.
Yeah, I think that was the best use of that power.
Like, that was another moment where I was so jealous of the mind vibing power. Because, if I could do that for you, if I knew what a future grandchild would look like and I could show you.
Oh my God. Yeah, make me sad. It'd be so cool. Why don't we get superpowers?
Right?
Oh man, I want to meet my grandkids.
Yeah, when I heard that, it was just like, that is a you and me moment. If I had that and I knew that, that is exactly what I would do in that moment.
It's such a powerful thing when you think about it too.
Yeah.
Like he's excited to have a family.
Yeah.
And I love that part of his character where it's not like, oh, we're going to have kids. It's like specifically, we're going to have a family. Sorry, what are we at?
122.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was adorable. They go back to the townhouse and Elaine is cooking.
Okay. Did you not think it was adorable that Cara Dwyn and other one?
We only know Caradwyn.
Why do I not know the other one's name? It's said every time Cara Dwyn is said.
I don't even know. I thought that was a moment of showing that they still have a human side to them.
Yeah. I love that Elaine has slowly kind of got a familial sense within the house too.
there's some type of grounding going on because she's like not as insane anymore.
Do we
Like
think
she's
his solution's gone?
that would be so sad.
Wouldn't
He's
it be?
gone and she feels better.
Yeah. And then he shows up and she's like, I need to go be depressed again.
I need to just check out, guys.
Bye. What I thought was really adorable was the way it's described as they walked in and they were all shocked. And the race were like, put their hands up and like, she asked to help. And it was like snow. Like they were all covered in flour and shit. I just thought it was adorable sounding. You know, like when your kids are helping you cook and they're unnecessarily gross. Well, they do it.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of. I'm just like, oh, they're like, we're making bread. Feyre's like, it better be done fast because I'm hungry.
Did they end up getting food?
Immediately, but not the food those people were cooking. So Rhysand's like, I'm hungry for something else.
Yes.
And she's like, it better be pussy because that's what they do. They go upstairs.
They didn't tell us which he chose. She said,
Hold on. He didn't choose. She says, he winnows us upstairs into our room. Ba-bam. Right? They arrive and she's like, then the snap of his fingers, there's food. First of all, why is anybody baking bread if you just magic food places?
Why were they in the kitchen in the first place if they could just snap food?
Again, well, it happens. Everybody can snap food except Feyre, and I think she should learn that trick. Because
before flying.
Yeah, Moore does it with grapes, right? When Feyre finishes her bear claw, or whatever that pastry was. In my brain, it was this big as bear claw. And she's like, I finished her food, and then Moore snapped her fingers and got grapes from the fridge, or whatever, kitchen. And then they go upstairs, Rhys snaps his fingers, and food's there. She's like, he let me choose which one he was going to eat first.
But it was ambiguous.
Whether it was her or the food.
Yes.
Yeah, they then ate the other one. We don't know which one was first, other than I'm guessing if it was spicy food, he went down on her first. If it was regular food, maybe she had clam chowder while he went and chowed on her clam.
Stop.
Someone give me 5 points. I thought that was okay. No.
Nesta was anxious about Cassian and close to solving the ability with the wall if unleashed. And that is the end of chapter 40.
Fair enough.
Chapter 41, Feyre is training with Azriel, again with flying. There's going to be a huge moment in the future. I know it. And a date is chosen for the meeting.
Even flew. I stand by that's how it's going to go. So Rhys says, I don't give a shit where it is. Pick a day. It's got to be 3 days from now, wherever we land. I'm good with. Moore seems to be part of the problem because Moore is like, it's going to be under the mountain. Everybody else is like, we just spent like a long time under the mountain. We don't want to go back. And she's like, it's a different mountain and we don't close the doors anymore. And they're like, yeah, it's still gross. We don't want to be there.
I took it as it used to always be chosen as it used to always be under the mountain until all this stuff with Feyre has happened.
Oh, well, I think all the stuff with Amarantha. I assume that's where they got most of the trauma about the mountain.
I thought it was like a trustworthy thing of Rhysand stealing Feyre.
Yeah, no, I think it's because I think if the issue was just a personal Rhysand issue, they wouldn't agree to the meeting at all. I think it's more to do with their trauma of being trapped under a mountain for 50 years.
I can't go in a mountain right now.
Yeah, like I still am not completely over the last mountain I was under. We're not in the mood for spelunking. We're gonna just do this in a castle.
And they chose the Dawn Court.
Yes. Can't remember that High Lord's name. It's like Clotho. Nope, that's the librarian. I remembered Clotho's name. Look at me go. But it does start with a C.
Yep.
And it makes me think of snow and Christmas.
Amren thinks Nesta only needs a few more days. Everyone is prepping for the meeting. Rhysand shows Feyre the family jewels.
You knew what you were saying, right?
No, he calls them that.
Yeah, you know what the family jewels.
Yeah, I do now. I forgot in the moment when I wrote down the note.
Well, he does.
I don't fully understand the point of this scene other than Rhysand has just been really excited to show her this place.
I think it's a reminder that all of the High Lords are so much wealthier than you can possibly imagine. Because even Feyre, with her expertise as a merchant's daughter, could not calculate the value of these gems. Now, I don't know how old she was when her dad quit being a successful merchant.
Before she could read.
Correct.
That's pretty young.
But she seems pretty shocked by her inability to calculate the value of these gems. And it cracks me up. She's like, it's worth more than most kingdoms. I'm like, are we Antiques Roadshow on our way through this?
I took it as she has seen the summer courts.
She said the same thing about the summer court stuff, to be fair.
This was more impressive than the summer court to her.
Yeah. And the next one she sees will be even more impressive.
It's like seeing a fae.
Yeah, every time. She's like, even bigger diamonds than before. Before they were diamonds as big as your head. Are you going to touch more on the jewels or no?
I was just going to share she gets a crown, but I thought she had a crown put on her head before she goes in there. And then she puts another crown, like she trades it out or something.
I like to think of it like, do you remember going to Burger King when you were a kid? You
Yeah.
get the crowns?
Yeah.
What would you do with your brother's crown?
I don't know.
Oh, you didn't just like stack them on top of each other and just king of the castle? No.
No, we didn't share. We were always
no sharing.
fighting.
Correct, but you were the tougher one, so I assumed that you would take his crown.
Yes. When I think of Burger King, I think of the gold Pokemons.
Oh, yeah.
Was that Burger King or was that McDonald's?
Nope, Burger King.
It was
they had
Burger
the
King.
Pokeballs. You click the thing, and there was a little gold-plated square Pokemons.
I remember getting a Pikachu. I remember getting a...
I'd like to get a Pikachu. Sorry, go ahead.
I remember getting a Pikachu one and just thinking, grown-up me is going to freaking love this.
It's an investment.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm going to be rich. Grown-up me.
Gold-plated. These things are just going to appreciate. This is a gold bar.
And I would keep it in the plastic thing so it wouldn't go bad, like, because I thought real gold turns black if it's exposed to air. I don't even know if that's true, but 8-year-old me thought it was.
You just thought that this Pikachu will tarnish if exposed to oxygen.
Yes.
Luckily, it's hermetically sealed.
Yes. And so I didn't ever remove it from its plastic little case. And then one day I was like, I'm going to take it out because now I want to know what gold feels like. Real, solid
But you
gold.
opened up the little plastic thing, too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I wanted to feel real, solid gold.
Solid gold, even.
That's what I thought it was.
Did it feel a lot like a small piece of plate steel painted gold?
Yes.
So
There was a chip on it, and I felt like my life was a lie.
So here's what really cracks me up. Number one, I am learning that anxiety isn't new to you. You've lived with it your whole life.
Yeah.
We were 9 years old, 8. We were 7 or 8 years old when that movie came out. So we were very young when you got that Pokeball. That had to be just before the year 2000, I think. So you were like, I need to start saving now for my future. It's going to happen. Your parents did a great job. Second thing is, I was too poor to get those because those were like $10 or something, which back then was so much money. And I just remember like, oh, it's so cool. And like I had friends that had them. They were collecting all of them. There was like 6 of them. I was like, oh my God, you guys are rich. You got gold Pokemon.
I'm just now realizing that parents had to pay for those.
Yeah.
Didn't come with the Happy Meal or
Correct.
whatever those are.
Yeah. Only those poor kids knew that. You guys just got them.
I'm so sorry. I did not know this. I
I love
thought
that you're
it was...
apologizing for 8-year-old you and your family having enough disposable income to buy you a gold Pokemon at Burger King. You do not need to apologize for anything.
Every time that we went, I was always hoping, is today the day that I get one put in there, that's what was chosen at random.
That's so funny. I think it was randomly chosen which one you would get.
Yeah, I think the worker just grabbed a Pokeball and just threw it in there.
Yeah, the worker. I love the way the employee of the establishment. The worker. Listen, burger bitch, I'm going to need my Pokemonster.
I'm still in shock. I didn't know this.
Yeah, Google it. Well, upon further investigation, it turns out we were so fucking poor. They were only $2
Well,
on top of the price of a meal.
yeah.
I couldn't find the price. If you didn't have the meal, maybe that's when they were $10.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That would make sense.
Oddly formative memories.
I don't know how we got here, but... Oh, family jewels.
Yep. Feyre putting on multiple crowns.
Yes.
So when you go to Burger King, you get the crown, right? And then you take your younger sibling's crown, just put it on yours so you get a taller crown. That's what I imagine Feyre's doing, just stacking crowns. She's like, please, Rhys, I don't need more crowns. She's like, I hated it when Tamlin brought up giving me crowns. But I guess I never really minded.
No, Tamlin never brought up crowns. She was talking about how before she was ever High Lady, before she was even a significant other of Rhysand's, he would put her in crowns.
Yeah, she
I don't
also
think-
says that she had recoiled at the idea of having to wear a crown from a Tamlin.
Oh.
She didn't really have to wear one. It was like they did her hair in a crown, and then it was kind of to prep her. Remember when he was collecting taxes? I think one of the things he wanted her to wear was like a tiara or something. But that's before knew that she was going to give it to the busty barracuda.
That makes sense. I forgot all about that character.
I'm here to help.
After that, Cassian comes back and he barely looks at Nesta, and that broke my heart. He just kind of looked at her and then looked away and started talking to Azriel.
Yeah, I think he's really fighting through some grief, and the last thing he could handle was one of those moments with Nesta.
Yeah, he probably thought she was just going to be mean.
I wonder where he got that.
Weird.
He seems odd.
And Moore was watching all of it, just observing.
Seething.
And I like how Feyre is just in the back also watching all of it, giving us the tea.
Yeah, one of them's giving real jealous observer energy, and the other one's giving emotional cuck energy. Feyre's just like, yeah, you don't look at her. Yeah, you don't. And then meanwhile, Moore's like, now look at me instead of her. Ooh. And Nesta's like, there's nobody want to look over here. Like, do I still on my face? You don't think so?
No.
All right.
And it all ends with Nesta getting ready to go to the meeting with them.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing I like, because they're like, oh, she's not going to make it to the meeting. And then it like ends in the chapter, and she's like, I'm going with you. And Feyre's like, but why? And she's like, why did you go into battle? You know what I mean? It was so odd. Okay, something I'm going to hit on a little bit here with Feyre. Feyre says something that I know she needs to say, but can we agree it is dumb? Maybe trite. I don't know.
Maybe. What is it?
When she talks, she's like, going to war is brutal, it turns out. It's awful. And we're like, okay, yeah, we kind of thought so. It's called war. She's like, yeah, it's really, really bad. But I'd do it 1,000 times all over again in lieu of being a slave or whatever it is was on the line for her. And we're like, yeah, we know. We get it. We know that you're altruistic, but still, we get it.
I don't remember this. I remember her just having a moment of war was worse than I could have imagined. Like, I thought it was awful, but I couldn't comprehend how awful it is.
And I really do appreciate that. I think in lieu of her, because she's just talking to herself when she's like, I'd do it 1,000 times all over again.
Yeah, it was like the earlier monologue where she's just like in the thick of it and she's just looking at all the bodies and just like, this is terrible. I'm like, oh, this is a character moment. She is going to be remembering this for the rest of the book.
Well, it reminded me of she's like giving herself a pep talk, right? Which is totally fine. You know, it's like Alice's restaurant.
I am just giving you a deadpan face.
I know, and I'm trying not to smile through it. So when he's sitting on the Group W bench, do you remember when he's trying to talk him out of letting him into the army?
I don't know anything more than maybe the first.
I played this song every Thanksgiving for you for 15 years.
And I zone out every time because it's
the important thing is you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Anyway, so he's trying to get talked out of being declared fit to be, to participate in the Vietnam War, right? Mm-hmm. And his way of talking him out of it is he goes to tell the guy for the psych evaluation, he's like, I want to kill. He's like, I want to see burnt, crisp bodies, blood and viscera all over the place. He's just acting like a complete psychopath. And they're like, you're our boy. And it backfires. That reminds me of what Feyre's like. It was horrible, blah, blah, blah. And I'd do it 1,000 times all over again. And you're like, who the hell are you talking to? You're talking to yourself. Just be honest. That really sucked, but it was worth it. And you could even go into more description as to how it was terrible, I think. Like, I kind of wanted to hear more of what she saw that was so awful.
She saw multiple beheadings.
She beheaded multiple people. I think that her just saying, there were bodies, and there were heads, and there were bodies without heads.
I was surprised she didn't have, like, an out-of-body experience.
She'd fucking drowned somebody.
She did have an out-of-body experience.
And then she was in Rhysand for a long time, and I don't think that was helpful either. He's just turning people into mist.
No, he isn't. And I wish
Well, he
people would.
did. He did, though. Once his power came back, he misted a bunch of people, didn't he? Wasn't that his thing?
No, not
Well, who
this.
misted him?
No one. I brought it up because I was like, this is this book series. This is the power that can be used, right?
There was a misting in this. There was misting occurring in this battle.
There was, and it was the ocean, and that's what made me think of it.
What?
The ocean mist.
No, I think he misted the people on the boat that he was on.
I think the ocean misted across their faces.
No. Okay, we're going to re-listen to that part of it because I'm pretty sure what happened is he went to go stab the King of Hybern. The thing went through him. The King of Hybern like giggles and is like, hoo-hoo, not today. And then he's gone. Rhys is like, I feel all my power back. And everybody on the ship is like, we're going to kill you. And he snaps his fingers and they all turn into mist. I'm 99.999% sure that happened. And if not, it should have. But
I was listening at work, and I'm really regretting those choices.
Again, I do appreciate how much work you get done at work. You can have us two things.
I was just listening to an audiobook at work. That's completely normal. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Let me think. Feyre brings up how heavy the new crown is. She's like, yeah, the other ones, they were crowns, but this bad boy got some gravitas to it. You're like, oh, is this metaphorical? Like, crown's getting heavier because the weight of your responsibility is more? I don't think so. I think it's literally just a larger crown.
She didn't come off as the type to pick that kind of crown, like a heavy, big one. I thought she was going for more subtle.
Like a secret crown. Like one that kind of blended in.
I don't know where I would get that idea because every time she talks about the dress she chooses, it is freaking incredible in the most amazing dress at the entire place. Like, dressed to impress, she's number one and always winning.
She does pose 28. Just pelvic thrusting before she walks in. Just arms behind her. Pelvic thrusting. That would be so fucking funny.
To the meeting
and everybody's got to like show off to get in there. And Feyre comes in. She's like, I got this.
The theme is Hybern.
And Moore is wearing blue.
I found that different. I don't think she's worn anything other than black.
Red. More
and red.
Always worn red.
Right, because she's a casino lady in my head.
Yes, she's your casino lady. And then I think she's the Jessica Rabbit character, so same.
Exactly.
And then her Illyrian fighting leathers. She's got her black gimp suit.
No. That outfit is Black Widow.
Potato topato. Does not matter. All I'm saying is, either way, she's got that, and now she's got a blue dress. But don't worry, it's still got the boob window. Feyre points that out.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
It's still missing all the panels in the right places. Just like her other dresses. So basically, she's just wearing like a fishnet dress with nip covers. And that's it, which is cool. I also just want to point out one other thing. Amren was wearing the jewels that had the price on her life. Remember?
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. Yeah, when they came home back to the house, before she asked about Victor.
Varian.
So like, and a red jewel flashed through her shirt, blah, blah, blah. You can see she's wearing her red jewels. And I'm like, oh, that's really funny. He's like,
I wanted that this entire time. I think Feyre needs to wear hers also, but it's fine. Or she has her own crown made and she puts it in there and it's at the front and center. That would be badass, and just wear it around.
Oh, honestly, I think it would be hilarious if she, number one, just got a dolphin tattoo, and then you don't think that would be cute? I don't know why you paint her in this corner.
Just making deals.
Yeah. She's like, I want a tramp stamp. And he's like, deal. He does it. I think that would be awesome. I would also like to point out that Feyre found the dress she's going to wear for everything until she's pregnant. Because she talks about, she's like, the dress could not get any sexier than the one I wore last time. And she's like, so I'm just wearing that dress again. And I'm like, that's not very royalty of you, wearing the same dress twice. And Moore is like, I like that other dress, but I need it in a different color this time. And wearing blue because now she's sad or something. I don't remember. That's it. That's all I had.
Those were all the notes that I had.
Yeah, that was all the notes I had too.
I love you.
I love you.
You're my bestie.
You're my bestie. It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here TikTok or Instagram at Shadow Daddies Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.